Masachika is the laziest guy in the whole school and mostly lives life with just his own hand, but somehow he still ends up pulling the Russian girl in his class. But she always keeps trashing him in Russian, thinking he does not understand anything. What she does not know is that this boy learned enough Russian from toxic Counter-Strike players, so he already knows she wants him to simp for her. Alia, being half Russian and beautiful, was the most famous girl in school. She was the best in both studies and sports, and in the same year, she became the student council treasurer. One morning, Senior Ando blocked her way and asked her to go on a date with him. Alia refused. Ando tried to ask for her number, but Alia told him she was not interested. She told him to remove his chain because it was against school rules. In class, Alia saw that Masachika was sleeping at his desk. She woke him up and guessed that he had watched anime all night. Masachika started talking about anime. At that time, Alia said something in Russian. Masachika asked for the meaning, but she avoided the question. In chemistry, Masachika forgot his book, so Alia let him read from her book. He started to doze off again, so Alia poked him with her pen, and he raised his hand in panic. The teacher asked him a question, but he did not know the answer. He looked at Alia, she pointed, and Masachika gave the wrong answer. Then Alia gave the correct answer. Later, he complained that she had set him up, but Alia acted like she had only pointed at the question. Then she said something in Russian and changed the meaning, but Masachika understood that she had called him cute. Alia did not know that Masachika could understand Russian. He had learned the language as a child to talk to a Russian girl, so he decided to keep his secret. After class, Masachika took out his phone. Alia reminded him that phones were not allowed, but he kept looking at the screen. Alia took his phone and saw that he was looking at a picture of a silver-haired anime game girl. She said something in Russian about her own silver hair, calling him unfaithful. Masachika asked what she said, so Alia changed the meaning and called him obsessed with games. Masachika started to explain, and Alia became disappointed. At lunch in the canteen, Alaya, Yuki, and Maria arrived. Yuki asked for permission to sit with them. Yuki sat next to Masachika. Yuki said that she and Masachika had known each other since childhood and were together in preschool. Masachika asked if Yuki and Alia were friends. Yuki showed hope, while Alia stayed distant. Then both of Masachika's friends left. When they were alone, Yuki reminded him about joining the student council, but he refused. Yuki said that in middle school, she was president and Masachika was her vice president. Alia was surprised. Alia answered in Russian that she already knew this. After Yuki left, Alia asked if he was really close with Yuki. Masachika said she was a good friend. Alia said she did not expect any girl would be friends with a guy like him. Masachika reminded her that she herself was his friend. Alia agreed, then left with an excuse. At night, Masachika dreamed about the Russian girl from his childhood. He remembered that he learned Russian to talk to her, but now he could not remember her name. The next morning, Masachika came early and cleaned the classroom. Alia was surprised to see the room. Masachika saw a stain on her sock, so Alia explained that a truck splashed muddy water, but she had extra socks. She again asked about joining the student council, but he refused again. Alia changed the subject and started changing her socks, making Masachika nervous. She told him to get extra socks from the locker, then told him to put the sock on her foot. Alia teased him and quietly said in Russian that this was his moment. When Masachika got on his knees and held her foot, Alia also got nervous. While pulling up the sock, his hand touched Alia's thigh by mistake, and Alia immediately kicked him. Later, Alia acted cold, so Masachika went to apologize. Alia said she was not angry now and also apologized for the kick, but Masachika said something that made Alia very embarrassed and she hit him again. Then she ran away and Masachika chased her. After both got tired, Masachika gave Alia her favorite cola to make peace. Alia took a sip and asked in Russian if he wanted to drink too. Masachika understood the meaning but pretended not to. Alia stayed satisfied that he could not understand Russian, while Masachika kept his secret and understood her real feelings. A few days later, Yuki called Masachika to help organize the student council storage room. When he arrived, he started joking around with Yuki, and at that moment, Alia came out from behind the boxes. She looked annoyed seeing them together. Since the room needed to be organized, Masachika started taking down boxes and board games, while Yuki kept talking to him. Alia told them to focus on work, then quietly said in Russian that she wanted attention too, and signaled Masachika to come to her. Masachika understood every word and got nervous inside, while Alia stayed sure that her secret was safe. The rest of the work finished quickly, and Masachika was about to leave when the student council president entered. A tall senior came in, was surprised to see the clean room, and introduced himself as Kenzaki. He said he had heard a lot about Masachika from both Yuki and Alia. Masachika tried to leave right away, but Kenzaki offered to take him out for food as thanks for his help. Masachika politely refused and said he was only helping friends, but Yuki interrupted and said he should accept because he would just go home and cook for himself anyway. Then Kenzaki invited Yuki and Alya to come too, and they all went out to eat together. At the restaurant, Kenzaki praised everyone for finishing the work quickly, and Yuki especially praised Masachika, saying he was good at cleaning, paperwork, and getting things done. Kenzaki immediately asked him to join the student council, but Masachika refused again and said he did not want to do that work anymore. Kenzaki told him the benefits, including strong recommendations for good universities, but Masachika still did not agree. Yuki kept pushing and said she wanted them to run together again like they did in middle school. Masachika asked why Yuki needed him when her win seemed certain, but Kenzaki said that was not guaranteed because Alya would also run for president. Masachika was truly surprised, and Alya calmly confirmed it. After the meal, Kenzaki took care of Yuki, and Masachika walked Alya toward her home. On the way, he asked if she would really run against Yuki, but Alya was unusually cold and did not show interest in talking more. When they reached her stop, she said she would go the rest of the way alone and left without her usual Russian comments. When Masachika got home, he immediately felt that someone was inside. Inside, he saw Yuki lying comfortably on the sofa reading a romance manga. He asked what she was doing there, then stopped her from acting like a childhood friend at school. Yuki answered that being a sister did not make the childhood friend talk wrong because they really had been together since long ago. At this point, it became clear that Yuki was actually his younger sister, and she was hiding their relationship on purpose, so Alya would get jealous and come closer to Masachika. The two argued for a while, then went back to talking about manga and anime. The next morning, when Masachika woke up, Yuki was again sitting on top of him and insisted on taking him out. She took him to the mall, looked at clothes, and Masachika got worried seeing the prices. While shopping, he saw a familiar silver-haired person in a corner. He asked Yuki, and Yuki said she had noticed her for a while, and without giving Masachika a chance to handle it, she went straight to Alya. Alya tried to act like she had just seen them a moment ago, but both did not believe it. Yuki happily invited Alya to lunch. Masachika quickly tried to stop her and suggested going somewhere else, which made Alya suspicious. Yuki said they were going to a very spicy ramen place. Masachika made it clear that it was not just normal spicy, but extremely spicy and could be hard for first-timers. Alya saw this as him trying to keep her away and insisted on going with him out of stubbornness. They reached a special ramen restaurant where both the name and menu showed the extreme spicy style. Masachika advised Alya to pick the mildest option since it was her first time, and in the end, both girls chose the same thing. While waiting for food, Alya noticed Yuki's boyish clothes. Yuki used this to say that she was in Masachika's bed that morning and was even thinking of taking his clothes. Masachika almost spat out his drink. People around started looking, and Alya asked for an explanation. Masachika tried to explain that Yuki climbed on his bed while he was sleeping, but his explanation sounded wrong and Alya was not satisfied. When the ramen came, Alya was shocked just by looking at the Red Bulls, but she did not back down and started eating. The first bite hit her badly with the spiciness, but she held herself together to keep her image. Masachika saw the tears in her eyes, and also understood her whisper in Russian asking for help, while she kept acting like she liked the spicy taste. Masachika kept trying to help her, but she refused every time. Yuki offered even spicier seasoning. Masachika told her not to, but Alya added it anyway to avoid losing. The next bite was too much for her, and she immediately left. Masachika followed her, found her alone, asked if she was okay, and offered to buy her ice cream. Alya agreed right away. While eating something cold, Masachika asked why she wanted to become student council president. Alya answered defensively that she did not need a special reason to move forward and just wanted to try. Then he asked if she had a running partner. Alya said she did not need anyone. She could write any name because she could do it alone. But quietly in Russian, she admitted she wanted Masachika to stand with her, and this had a deep effect on him. After that, Alya asked if he had time, then told him to help her with clothes shopping. Masachika agreed. In the changing area, Alya was shy at first and told him to stand a bit far, but when she came out in the first outfit, Masachika honestly praised her for looking very good. Alya quietly closed the curtain and got nervous in embarrassment, and Masachika also got worried about what he said. Still, Alya did not stop and started trying on one outfit after another. Masachika kept praising her, even saying the boyish outfit looked good, and Alya slowly got more comfortable. In the end, Alya decided to try something more flashy and opened the curtain with a little teasing plan, but Yuki was standing there with Masachika. Alya quickly went back behind the curtain, said something in Russian about wanting to disappear in shame, and hid. Later, on the train home, she was so embarrassed that she did not talk much. When Masachika and Yuki said goodbye and got off at the same station, Alya was suddenly surprised and started thinking about why both got off at the same place. After that, Alya reached home where her sister Maria, as always, greeted her in a cheerful way, but quickly noticed that Alya was more upset than usual this time. When Maria asked, Alya mentioned Masachika and his childhood friend. Maria was happy that finally some boy had reached Alya's heart. Alya tried to play it down, but Maria directly asked if she liked Masachika. Alya immediately denied it and said they were just friends. Maria did not fully believe this, because she thought Masachika seemed like a careless type of guy, and Alya usually did not like such people. Hearing this, Alya remembered an old event from 6 years ago in Russia. At that time, the class was given a project where the winning group would get a prize. Alya started working very seriously, divided the tasks, and even went to the city to collect information from people for the report. But when she returned, she found out that the rest of her group had not even started the work. Alya tried to explain to them that the report would take time, but they were all relaxed because there was still a whole week left. When one of them saw Alya's notebook, she said Alya had already written too much and it was just schoolwork. Alya refused to accept this and insisted that the work should be taken seriously. This led to a big fight, and in the end, the others told her that if she wanted to do everything so perfectly, she should do it alone, and then they left. After that, Alya stayed late for many days and finished the report alone. When the result came, another group won because their report was more connected. Alya stood holding her hard work and tried to stop her tears. On the way home, she blamed herself for expecting others to be as serious as her. That day, she decided she would not depend on anyone anymore, because people disappoint in the end. Years later, when she transferred to a famous school in Japan, she quickly became the center of attention, but Masachika was also sitting next to her. At first, they introduced themselves, and Masachika praised her speech. But soon, Alya saw that he often slept at his desk, forgot his books, and overall seemed irresponsible. Alya had seen this kind of behavior before, so she started closing herself off again and lowered her expectations from people. Then the school festival time came. In class, the work was divided, but the other students stayed relaxed and went home while Alya stayed late working on decorations and banners. While working, her fingers got pricked many times. She put on a bandage, but instead of stopping, she wanted to finish the work because she wanted a good festival and did not want to compromise on quality. At that time, Masachika suddenly arrived after school and said he knew Alya would do too much work alone. He said he had already arranged something and showed a permission slip saying he got help from the handicrafts club so more people could stay and help. Alya was surprised to see that Masachika did all this, but his words also made her angry. She firmly stated her point about her hard work and quality and said that when others are not serious, doing the work alone is not wrong. Masachika accepted her hard work, apologized for interfering, then gently explained that she was using her effort in the wrong way. He said instead of doing everything alone, she should see how to get everyone to work together. Alya finally left, but while going, she kept thinking about Masachika's attitude. The next day, things changed. The boys actually started working. The whole class became more active. Everyone worked together and gave new ideas for the festival. Alya was surprised that people were really trying. With this, she slowly started getting closer to her classmates again. When the festival started, their class's event was successful and liked by everyone without any problems. At the event after the festival, Alya saw Masachika sitting alone and went to sit with him. While talking, Masachika mentioned her famous nickname, Ice Princess. Alya immediately felt bad about it and said she did not like that name because it gave the impression that she moved ahead only because of her family status, even though she worked hard for everything herself. Masachika understood her point and promised not to use that nickname again. Alya was pleasantly surprised by this. Then she thanked him for helping her change her thinking during the festival and also apologized for her earlier harsh behavior. When she asked if she could do something in return, Masachika requested permission to call her by her real favorite name, Alya. At that moment, a group of Alya's fanboys arrived and started pressuring her to dance. They came very close to her, which made Alya clearly uncomfortable. Masachika immediately stepped in, took Alya's hand, and moved them away, then asked Alya to dance with him. Alya accepted this offer. Returning to the present, Maria was very happy to hear all this and thought it was like a normal love story. But Alya still said there was nothing like that, and they were just friends, though she also admitted that Masachika really supported her at important times. Maria still was not convinced. Sometime later, Masachika came to the student council to work temporarily in Yuki's place and formally met Maria there, who introduced herself as Alya's older sister and the council secretary. She greeted him warmly and held his hands, but immediately felt something familiar about Masachika. When she heard his first name, she paused for a moment, as if she remembered something, then continued talking normally. After that, the two went shopping for office supplies. On the way, Maria saw a soft toy and got interested in it, suggesting they buy one for every council member, but then dropped the idea and bought one for herself. She called the toy Alya, and when Masachika helped her pick it up, she said the two looked good together. At the next place, a tea shop, Maria started chatting with the shopkeeper, while Masachika stood aside and thought that Yuki was better at this job because their mother had taught her all this. This made him remember the day his father announced the divorce, and at that time, Masachika chose to go with his father while Yuki stayed with their mother. Maria brought his attention back when she noticed he looked in pain. She pulled him close to comfort him and stroked his hair. This gesture felt strangely familiar and calming to Masachika, but the next moment, he got burned by hot tea and the soft moment ended suddenly. Later, Masachika and Maria returned to the student council room. Kenzaki reminded Maria not to leave her strange demon plushie there. They put down the things they brought, and Kenzaki opened the bags to check. When the rest of the items turned out to be normal school supplies, he was satisfied. He thanked Masachika for not letting Maria fill the council room with unnecessary decorations. Masachika understood this too, because he knew if Maria was left free, she would change the whole look of the council room. At that moment, Kenzaki again asked Masachika to join the student council. As always, Masachika refused and said he did not want to join officially, but could help sometimes. Maria suggested that he could just join on paper. Masachika then asked why everyone was pushing so much to include him. Kenzaki questioned his strong hesitation and reminded him that in middle school, he did a great job as vice president. Masachika made the topic lighter by saying he did not have any clear goal for that position, and there was no big wish he wanted to fulfill. Kenzaki explained that a goal does not always have to be directly connected to the job. He admitted that he himself joined the student council for a personal reason. He took out an old photo showing a fat and unconfident boy. Masachika asked who it was, and Kenzaki said it was him 2 years ago. Masachika was surprised at this change. Kenzaki said he was weak in studies, not special in sports, and overall not serious. Then he liked a girl who would never look at him, and after that, he decided to change himself and become council president. Masachika understood that this was how Kenzaki got close to Chizaki. Kenzaki also said that Maria joined the council because Chizaki asked her. Maria agreed and said that whatever the reason for joining, the real importance is that the work should benefit the students. Kenzaki added that Masachika and Yuki were a good team in middle school, and if he joined to help someone else, there was nothing to be ashamed of. Hearing this, Masachika went silent and remembered the old days with his sister, then said he would think about it. After that, he asked about Alia. Kenzaki said Alia was solving a fight between the soccer and baseball teams over field usage at that time. The soccer team had already qualified for regionals. Pro scouts were coming for the baseball team, and because Chisaki was out on official duty, Alia was handling this issue. As soon as he heard this, Masachika decided to go there. Near the field, the soccer and baseball teams were standing face to face and arguing. Alia politely told both sides to talk calmly and suggested that one team use the small riverside field, but neither side was willing to agree. The players kept arguing, while the captains and managers of both teams stayed unusually quiet. Alia felt that she was always used to working alone and did not know how to make people listen to her. She started doubting herself, wondering if she was even suitable for the student council, and tears came to her eyes. At that moment, Masachika arrived, listened to the argument, and at first thought this was a learning chance for Alia, so he should not interfere. But then he heard Alia's voice in Russian asking for help, and after that, he stepped forward. He introduced himself as the Student Council General Affairs Officer and offered to help. Alia was both surprised and relieved to see him. Masachika quickly suggested a solution that since the baseball team had fewer members, they should practice on the riverside field, and in return, some soccer team members would help move the baseball equipment. Some boys immediately objected. Alia tried to calm them, but Masachika ignored the arguments and looked at the managers. At that moment, the soccer team manager offered to help. Seeing this, the baseball team quickly agreed and the issue was settled. In the end, Masachika told both teams to submit formal requests the next day. Alia quietly kept looking at him. On the way back, Masachika apologized to Alia for interfering and said maybe she looked weak because of it. Alia let it go but asked why he made the suggestion as if he already knew the soccer manager would agree. Masachika was surprised that Alia noticed this, then explained that the soccer manager and baseball captain were in a relationship. The captain was quiet because he was thinking about his team's needs and also understood his girlfriend's problem, while the manager was also stuck in this. Masachika said he just gave a middle path that both could accept. Alia was impressed that he saw the situation in such detail. A little later, they met Kenzaki. He asked how it went. Alia said Masachika came and solved the problem, but Masachika immediately accused Kenzaki of setting up this whole thing on purpose. Kenzaki admitted it and asked again what his decision was now. This time, Masachika said yes and agreed to join the student council. Alia was surprised, while Kenzaki told him to come to the office and start work. Later, Alia and Masachika walked home together. Alia asked if he joined the council to stand with Yuki in the president election. Masachika replied by asking if she would quit running for president if that was the case. Alia immediately made it clear that she would not back down, even if she had to go again. against him. Masachika smiled and said he expected that answer, then said he would not help Yuki, but would help Alya become student council president. Alya was surprised by this. Masachika assured her that if this was her wish, he would stand with her and work for her, then held out his hand. Alya wiped her tears and took his hand. At that moment, Alya said a sentence in Russian that gave Masachika a familiar feeling and reminded him of the golden-haired girl from his childhood. He stayed in that thought for a few moments, but Alya squeezed his hand hard and asked if he was thinking about another girl. She especially asked about Yuki because he had just promised to support her. Masachika denied it, but Alya slapped him hard and he fell to the ground. Then she herself reached out and helped him up, and the two continued walking and talking lightly. Near Ali's building, she asked Masachika if the sting on his cheek was gone or not. Masachika said there was still a little burning, but he was fine. After that, Alya suddenly came close and gave him a small kiss on the cheek. Masachika was surprised. Alya left him there and walked away, and Masachika realized that the Russian sentence she said before was actually a confession. Back home, Alya kept telling herself again and again that she did not love Masachika, and even if she did, maybe he would just make fun of her. Then she heard the door and saw Maria sitting with the plushie. Maria looked a bit worried. Alya asked her the reason, but Maria changed the topic, then casually said she met Masachika and now could understand why Alya might like him. Alya denied it again, but Maria advised her not to wait and to show her feelings soon, or someone else might get close to Masachika first. During this, Masachika started feeling embarrassed remembering the promises he made that day and wondered if Alya's confession in Russian was really serious or not. After convincing himself for a while, he decided it could not be true. Then he remembered his parents' constant fights in his childhood and decided there was no point in thinking too much about things like love. On his way home, he saw Yuki's shoes outside and guessed that she probably had a hand in getting him to join the student council. He went inside to talk to her but found her in the bathroom in a situation that clearly showed Yuki had purposely tried to copy a classic brother-sister comedy scene. Yuki admitted she did it on purpose and said she was testing him as an apology for her trick. Masachika made fun of her idea. They teased each other, and after some arguing, the matter cooled down. Later, while Yuki was drying her hair in Masachika's room, she asked if Maria and Kenzaki managed to convince him. Masachika said they did, but also made it clear that he was joining the student council but would stand with Alya for president instead of helping Yuki. Hearing this, Yuki went silent for a few moments, then said in a jealous and annoyed way that now he should try to flatter her. Masachika picked up a brush and started fixing her hair and apologized for supporting Alya instead of Yuki. Yuki replied that she would still fight in the election with all her strength and this brother-sister competition would be interesting. In the end, she also admitted that she was happy Masachika found someone again who could make him take things seriously, though she still planned to beat him in the election. The next morning, Masachika was surprised to see that Yuki did not do anything strange to wake him up. For a moment, he thought maybe she was really angry, so he decided to make breakfast to make things better. But as soon as he got out of bed, Yuki suddenly scared him and laughed at his reaction. A little later, she got stuck somewhere and asked for help, so Masachika took revenge by putting his sweaty bedsheet on her face first, then finally helped her out. At school, Alya waited for Masachika with anxiety and tried to calm herself by saying he would come half asleep as usual. But this time, Masachika looked unusually energetic and alert, and Alya kept looking at him again and again. During class, she saw that Masachika stayed awake, so she started thinking that maybe he was really getting serious because of the promise he made to her. In gym class, Alya played strong in volleyball, while on the boys' side, Masachika got hit on the head by the ball. After that, Masachika went outside for fresh air and rubbed his head. Alya followed him, asked if he was okay, checked his forehead, and showed worry after seeing his condition. Masachika was busy trying to control himself because she was so close. They both went to the water tap, and even there, he was confused by Alya's closeness. At that moment, Maria arrived because she had heard Masachika got hit by the ball. She saw he was wet from the water and started drying him with her towel. Masachika thanked her and made a light comment. Maria replied in the same way, but Alya quickly ended the conversation and told Maria they were going back. On the way back, Masachika thought Alya would scold him, but she still seriously cared for him and asked again if he was really okay or not. Masachika started thinking that maybe Alya's attitude changed after the kiss on the cheek, so he asked why she was being so gentle with him today. Alya answered that he was acting strange all day. Masachika explained that he had not eaten breakfast. Alya suddenly realized that he was not staying awake in class because of her, but because he was too hungry to sleep. Then, Masachika added that he also slept well at night. Hearing this, all the thoughts Alya built in her mind, the whole night broke, and she immediately returned to her old tough and defensive style. She left angrily and told herself while going that she could not love a guy like this. After the last class, Masachika asked Alya if they could go to the student council room together. Alya quietly walked ahead of him. On the way, they saw the baseball and soccer boys coming out of the council room quickly, apologizing to someone inside as they left. Masachika peeked inside and saw Chisaki standing with a bamboo sword. He tried to back away, but Chisaki stopped him, apologized, and explained that the players were fighting again, so she made them accept a middle solution by being strict. Kenzaki laughed and assured Masachika that Chisaki was not as scary as she looked, but Chisaki immediately hit him, and the next moment both of them acted soft and close. Then Maria came and told them to behave. A little later, Yuki also arrived and apologized for being late. Kenzaki formally started the meeting and asked Masachika to introduce himself. Masachika stepped forward, introduced himself as the new General Affairs member, and announced in front of everyone that in the next election he would stand as Alya's running mate to make Alya the next student council president. Masachika introduced himself, described his personality as a fan of Anna Skoll, and then sat down. Kenzaki praised him and said that since he was vice president in middle school, he would quickly understand the council work. Then he said that for today, he would have to work with Maria because there was not enough staff. At that moment, Yuki interrupted and said she needed to discuss the art club budget, and since Alya was treasurer, she would have to come too. Alya agreed and both girls left the room. On the way, Alya told Yuki that she wanted to talk to her alone first. The two went to an empty classroom. There, Alya said she wanted to tell Yuki personally that she would stand with Masachika in the election. Yuki replied that Masachika had already told her. Hearing this, Alya felt a bit relieved, but Yuki also said she would have been happier if Masachika had chosen her. Then Alya asked Yuki what she felt about Masachika. Yuki said very clearly that she loved him more than her parents. After that, she asked Alya the same question. Alya first said that Masachika was just her friend, but Yuki kept pushing. Finally, Alya admitted that she was not sure if it was love or not, but she would not give Masachika to Yuki because she considered him hers. Yuki was satisfied with this answer and said it was enough. Then both went to the art club. In the council room, Masachika and Maria were checking documents together. Masachika was surprised at Maria's speed and accuracy and how efficiently she worked. At that moment, he saw Chisaki struggling with books, so Kenzaki quickly sent her to do another job. Then Maria suggested a tea break and offered black tea. Masachika saw the jam and asked if it was a Russian style, and Maria confirmed it. He then asked if black tea was mostly drunk in winter, but Maria explained that in their house, it was drunk all the time because their mother was Japanese and liked tea. After that, Maria asked how much Masachika knew about Russia. Masachika hid the truth and said he only knew a little from movies, even though he had learned Russian as a child because of a Russian girl he liked. While drinking tea, he remembered his mother who lived separately because she also liked black tea. Maria ate jam before every sip, and when Masachika did the same, he found the jam too sweet. A little later, Yuki and Alya returned, but the atmosphere between them felt different than before. As soon as Alya came in, she pulled her chair very close to Masachika and sat down. When Masachika complained, Alya said that it was considered bad luck for a girl to sit at the corner of the table. Masachika immediately looked at Yuki and guessed that something happened between the two. Maria confirmed that it was a famous superstition, then lightly brought up marriage and asked Alya if she had found her groom. Alya avoided the topic and quietly said in Russian that it was too soon for marriage. At this, Maria put a lot of jam in front of her, and Alya quietly started eating it. A little later, Kenzaki let the first-year students go for the day. On the way home, Masachika told Alya to stop at a family diner so they could talk about election strategy. Alya quietly asked in Russian if this meeting was a date, but Masachika, as always, acted like he did not understand. At the diner, Alya ordered a big parfait. Masachika asked her what happened with Yuki, but instead of answering directly, Alya asked if he and Yuki were in a relationship. Masachika immediately denied it and said Yuki enjoyed teasing people. Then he got back to the main topic and said their chances of beating Yuki were very low. He explained to Alya that before the final election, there was a student congress that worked like a first round, where candidates showed their support and many dropped out at this stage. This time, almost no one wanted to challenge Yuki because everyone thought she would win easily. Alya got worried by this, especially because Masachika was saying all this so calmly during the meeting. She kept eating the parfait under pressure. Then suddenly, she offered Masachika a bite with her spoon. Masachika asked for a clean spoon, but Alya said it was normal in Russian culture. Masachika understood she was not telling the full truth, but still used the same spoon, and realized it was a moment of indirect closeness. After that, they continued talking about strategy. Masachika said they needed a different angle to impress the students. For example, he mentioned Kenzaki, who was not in the council before, but made a story of his change and hard work that inspired people. Alya asked if she also needed a special dramatic background. Masachika said first First, she needed to prepare a strong policy speech at the end of the first term. He advised her to think carefully and speak from the heart. Then he also said that Alia was already attractive, which made Alia shy. When Masachika's food arrived, he offered Alia a taste, but immediately remembered she could not handle spicy food. Alia refused to back down and tasted it, but the spice bothered her right away. Later, while walking back, Alia asked what Yuki would do now that her running mate had changed. Masachika said Yuki was so popular she could easily pick someone else, maybe from her old council group. He also said that if Yuki teamed up with Taniyama, it could be a problem because Taniyama was Yuki's rival in middle school and was deeply affected by her loss. Then he said they would find out soon. The next day, Yuki came into the council room smiling and announced she found a new partner. Masachika did not even finish reacting to this news when Ayano entered, introduced herself as the new general affairs member, and it became clear she would be Yuki's running mate. After leaving the council room, Masachika heard a soft voice from behind. When he turned, Ayano was standing there. She politely asked him to come with her, and when they reached a quiet place, Ayano asked if it was true he was standing with Alia in the president election. Masachika confirmed it. At this, Ayano said the family head, her grandfather, was angry about it and did not want him to get in Yuki's way. Hearing this, old bitterness came back to Masachika because he remembered his grandfather had pushed him away before, but still tried to control him from a distance. Masachika asked Ayano if she came to check his intentions on someone's order. Ayano replied that she was doing her duty as Yuki's maid and protector, and it was her job to check for possible dangers to Yuki. She also admitted that before she was sure Masachika would never hurt Yuki, but now she was not fully sure. Masachika clearly said that standing with Alia was not going against Yuki. He promised Alia he would do his best to make her win, and that was what he wanted to do. Ayano asked if he was protecting Alia's dream because he had feelings for her, but Masachika denied this. He told Ayano to tell the truth to his grandfather, and if he had something to say it directly to him, not to involve Yuki. Before leaving, Ayano asked what Yuki meant to him now. Masachika answered without hesitation that Yuki was still very important to him and that had not changed. Later in class, Masachika's friends took out a magazine with pictures of different women and forced him to say his favorite type. Masachika first tried not to show interest, but when they kept pushing, he finally pointed to a picture of a brown-haired woman. His friends immediately said this girl looked like Maria and started teasing him about it. Masachika reminded them that Maria was already in a relationship and anyway, she was out of his reach. At that moment, Alia came into the class and saw him holding the magazine. She looked at him angrily, called him bad names in Russian, and asked why a student council member brought such a thing to school. Masachika quickly tried to blame Takeshi, but Alia stayed angry. The boys made things worse by asking if he could get together with Yuki. Masachika denied this idea and said he wanted a girl who could also be his best friend. Alia immediately said quietly in Russian that she herself fit that standard, and hearing this, Masachika's face showed a reaction. Then Masachika added that he liked a girl with a bright smile. His friends pushed this further and said it was important for a girl to be easy and open to others. This annoyed Alia, and she got irritated by his choice. Then when one boy said personality did not matter, only beauty was enough if the girl was as beautiful as Alia, Alia lost her patience. She went close to that boy and strictly told him that people with such thinking could not make real relationships. After that, she confiscated the magazine and left with it. At the same time, on the other side, Ayano reported her talk with Masachika to Yuki. She said Masachika was serious in his decision and would not step back from helping Alia, but he also made it clear that Yuki was still one of the most important people in his life. Hearing this, Yuki was immediately happy. Ayano further explained that most people at school already thought Yuki would win, and many students saw Alia challenging her as a reckless move. Instead of getting angry, Yuki got excited because she had wanted a serious competition with Masachika for a long time, and now felt she had the chance to prove her superiority in a sibling rivalry. Later that day, in the student council room, Alia, Yuki, Maria, and Ayano played a mind game that included guessing and tricking, while Masachika, Kenzaki, and Chizaki sat aside and kept score. Kenzaki observed that Alia looked cold on the outside, but actually her feelings were not hard to read, and Yuki was taking advantage of that. Chizaki said Maria was harder to read because she always had a soft smile. Masachika also agreed that Maria sometimes seemed unclear. During this talk, Kenzaki asked Ayano if her obedient habit was just because she was a maid. Ayano explained that her grandparents served Yuki's family, her parents were normal officers office workers, and she chose this path herself because she was inspired by her elders' loyalty. That was why she trained herself to always stay in the shadow of the one she served. During the game, Alya scolded Maria for something, so Maria left the game. The others worried that Oya was being too serious, but both Masachika and Maria said Oya was actually having fun, which was rare for her. A little later, when the drinks ran out, Maria asked Masachika to go to a nearby shop with her. They asked everyone's preferences, and Masachika remembered everyone's drinks after hearing them once, which surprised everyone. On the way, Maria thanked Masachika for standing with Alya in her campaign. She said Oya was always hardworking, but usually worked alone and did not trust others easily, so Masachika's support was really important for her. Masachika tried to play it down, but Maria made it clear it was a big deal. Then Masachika asked if she purposely hid her competitive side from Alya. Maria admitted she did not want Alya to see her as another rival she had to beat. Hearing this, Masachika thought about his sister Yuki, and for a moment wondered if Yuki also acted differently in front of him, but he did not continue that thought. Then Maria asked why he hid his responsible side and acted careless. Masachika said he wanted an easy life and wanted to stop people from relying on him so they would not be disappointed later. Maria gently put her hand on his head and told him he was doing a good job. The next morning in the hall, Taniyama stopped Alya and accused her in front of everyone of stealing Yuki's running mate because she was afraid she could not beat Yuki. Alya was surprised and tried to explain that Masachika chose her himself, but Taniyama refused to believe it and kept pressuring her in front of the growing crowd. At that moment, Masachika arrived, saw the situation, and stepped forward to defend Alya. He told Taniyama to apologize because he made the decision himself and Yuki already knew about it. Taniyama ignored this explanation and challenged him to a debate at the student congress, saying people like him did not deserve to be in the student council. Alya also tried to speak, but Taniyama called her just a numbers person with no social sense, then announced she would drag both of them into the debate and defeat them together. The next day, Kenzaki told Masachika and Alya that Taniyama wanted a debate and the topic was council entry through teacher screening. Masachika thought it was not very useful, but Alya said beating her would make their candidacy stronger. Later, both of them prepared Alya's arguments. During a break, Alya asked if Masachika and Taniyama were enemies before. He said no, they respected each other. According to him, Taniyama now saw him as if he left Yuki's side and picked another candidate. Alya understood that the conflict got worse because of her selection, so she became more determined. The next day, on the way to the auditorium, Miyame introduced herself as Taniyama's running mate and wished Alya luck. Masachika said Miyame was popular and told Alya to focus on Taniyama. As the hall started to fill, Alya got nervous from the whispers and laughter. Masachika suddenly brought up her body shape, which surprised her and helped her get control. Then he said that today her real enemy was not Taniyama, but her perfectionism, and she should speak in her own style. In the student congress, Kenzaki first called Taniyama. Taniyama said the current system could bring unfit or careless people into the student council, and teacher screening would bring only students with proven achievements. Then Alya replied that teacher screening would weaken the school's student autonomy and self-governance. If teachers approved council members, the president and vice president would have less power. She also said grades in sports were not enough because judgment, communication, and problem solving were also important in the council. In direct questions, Taniyama said recent councils were taking almost every volunteer and the standard could drop. Then she asked what would happen if the president or vice president abused their power. At that moment, some students started making noise, called Alya an outsider, and said she did not understand the school. Masachika immediately realized this disturbance was planned and Miyame set it up. Alya lost focus and stopped. Masachika stepped forward, put his hand on Alya's back, and took the mic. He lightly said that Alya's voice had stopped, then used Kenzaki as an example, and said the system worked. If only teacher screening and visible performance were used, Kenzaki, who used to have low grades and a bad reputation, would never have become president. The current system gave space for passion and growth, and he changed and became president today. In the end, Kenzaki asked Taniyama, but she left the hall. Alya followed her. Outside, Taniyama said that since middle school, she had put Yuki and Masachika on a high level and accepted her loss by thinking she lost to a special pair. But when Masachika chose Alya instead of Yuki, she felt all her ideas broke and she became meaningless. Then she admitted this story was something she made in her own mind and blaming Alya was wrong. Alya listened quietly. Miyame came and said she would take care of Taniyama. Before leaving, Alya said she also did not know why Masachika chose her, but she would do her best to prove it was the right choice. After Alya left, Miyame said Alya was not as cold as she looked, and Taniyama agreed. Later, Alya told Masachika what Taniyama said and promised she would do her best in the election. for herself and for him. Then she asked why he chose her instead of Yuki. Masachika said, in middle school he mostly stood with Yuki out of guilt. After their parents separated, he went with his father and Yuki stayed with their mother. People thought he was calculating, but actually he avoided attention and just did what he felt was his duty for Yuki. He said this time was different, and he was running for vice president because he really wanted to be Alia's running mate. Hearing this answer made Alia happy. Masachika quickly made it clear he was not comparing Alia and Yuki. Alia teased him, so he asked why she chose him. Alia answered in Russian and changed the subject, telling him to walk. Before leaving, she asked why he mentioned her body shape in the hall. Masachika admitted he did it to break her nervousness and check his guess. Alia replied that the difference was very small. A few days later, Yuki had dinner with her grandfather, and he brought up the recent debate with Taniyama at the student congress. When Yuki said things went badly, he called Taniyama foolish because she left the hall in the middle of the debate. Then he pressured Yuki that she should not lose to anyone, especially not to Masachika. He also said Masachika was almost equal to Yuki in intelligence, but gave up his responsibilities, so losing to someone like that would be unacceptable. Later, Yuki's mother asked if she and Masachika were still close. Yuki casually said yes, and also mentioned that sometimes she woke up on top of him. Hearing this, her mother immediately ended the conversation. In her room, Yuki still felt strange, then asked Ayano what was the way to feel better and got comfort by staying close to her. After a while, she felt better and thanked Ayano. The next day at school, some boys gathered around Masachika and congratulated him on his performance in the debate. Masachika turned the talk to Alia instead of taking the praise, who was already busy with work again. The boys hesitated to talk to Alia because they were afraid of her harsh replies, so Masachika helped start the conversation. Slowly, they started talking to Alia about the debate. But when they started making fun of Taniyama for running away from her own debate, Alia's face changed. She told Masachika to go outside. They both went to the council room. There, Masachika asked if she was still upset about the Taniyama matter. Alia admitted yes. Masachika reminded her that they won fairly, but Alia said the result happened because the opponent left before the debate finished, so she felt bad for Taniyama. Masachika also explained that if they tried to save Taniyama's reputation, their own win could lose value, but Alia still wanted to do something for her. In the end, Masachika agreed to help her and said if she wanted to do it, he would support her. Alia apologized for dragging him into this, but Masachika made it clear they were a team now. While talking, Masachika felt some movement under the table and first tried to ignore it. Then he saw a strange look on Alia's face, so to change the mood, he revealed Kenzaki and Shizaki hiding under the table. Both of them came out and explained they were just looking for something that fell and had been searching the floor for a while. Then everyone agreed to act like nothing happened. Alia got embarrassed and left. After that, Masachika went to find Miyamai. He found her in class, but because of the noise could not talk privately, so he called her to an empty classroom. Miyamai first asked lightly if he came for some personal reason, but Masachika got straight to the point. He asked if she could help stop the talk and mocking going on against Taniyama. Miyamai immediately understood this idea must have come from Alia and asked why he was asking the other side for help, especially after the interference in the debate. Masachika said that was exactly why he came to her. He suggested spreading a story that would give a better reason for Taniyama leaving the hall, even if it brought questions on their own win. Miyamai warned this could backfire, but Masachika said they were ready for that risk. Miyamai agreed. Before leaving, Miyamai explained why she cared so much for Taniyama. She remembered an old event when Taniyama told her not to underestimate herself and helped her fix her situation. Miyamai said now she had the chance to return that favor. Then she went back to her class and talked to her classmates in a normal way. When they asked why Masachika met her, she said he was asking about Taniyama's absence. When someone said Taniyama was hiding because of shame, Miyamai gave the other side of the story, that she herself set up the people to interrupt the debate, and Taniyama left because she was angry. The debate was unfair. At the same time, Masachika felt someone watching him, so he called out to Ayano. Ayano came forward, and after that, Yuki also came out. Both admitted they listened to his talk with Miyamai. Masachika asked the real reason they were there, but Yuki did not give a clear answer. At that moment, Alia came looking for Masachika. She saw him with Yuki and Ayano in an empty classroom and was clearly angry. She acted like she did not care, left them there, and said something in Russian while leaving. Later, Masachika asked Alia to study together and they sat in the council room to study. Masachika hoped no one would notice how close their seats were, but a little later, Yuki and Ayano also came and asked to study with them. Alia allowed it, but said in Russian she wanted alone time with Masachika. While studying, Alia noticed Masachika was mostly looking at answer solutions. Yuki said he always studied that way, and Ayano confirmed it. Then Ayano got stuck in her work, so Masachika offered to help. help. Ayano hesitated, but accepted, and, as usual, made a harsh comment about herself. During this, Alya noticed the closeness between Masachika, Yuki, and Ayano did not feel like normal childhood friends. Masachika asked why she thought that, but before Alya could answer, Maria came in. A little later, they all took a break with Maria's special tea. During this, Maria found a hypnosis book that was confiscated earlier. She told Alya to try it on her, but Alya refused. Then Maria told Masachika to do it. Everyone gathered with interest, and Masachika tried following the book's instructions. To everyone's surprise, Maria really fell asleep when he clapped. Masachika woke her up, but Maria said she remembered nothing. Alya did not believe it, so she told them to try again. This time, Alya also got hypnotized, and during this, Maria also fell asleep again. Yuki saw this as a chance, and told Masachika to ask them some secret questions, then gave the hypnotized girls a suggestion to drop their inhibitions. When both opened their eyes, they went straight to Masachika, got close to him, and started unbuttoning their uniforms. Everyone panicked and tried to wake them up, but it did not work right away. At that moment, Chisaki came in. Yuki quickly explained the whole situation. Chisaki used a method to put both girls back to sleep and then brought them back to normal. When Alya and Maria fully woke up, they saw they had almost opened their uniforms and both got extremely embarrassed, while Chisaki immediately turned to Masachika and raised her hand to punish him. A little before exams, Masachika could not focus on studying because a new anime recap was about to come out and his attention kept going there. At the same time, he also felt he had become much lazier than in childhood, but he decided that after standing with Alya, he would not disappoint her. At that moment, Alya called him and checked if he was studying or wasting time. Masachika admitted he was reading the same line again and again and could not focus. Alya suggested a bet. Masachika said his goal was to get in the top 30 in the exam. Alya said if he did it, she would grant him one wish, and if he failed, then he would have to do what she said. Masachika agreed to the bet. Alya called him by his first name in Russian and gave a hint, but Masachika, as always, acted like he did not understand. Then he teased her by calling her little sister, so Alya reminded him they were the same age. Masachika mentioned her November birthday and his own April birthday, thanked her for the encouragement, and ended the call. On the other side, Alya actually called him only because she had watched a scary movie, but after the call ended, she got angry that Masachika remembered her birthday even though he never tried to celebrate his own. 5 days later, after exams ended, Masachika told Alya to walk home with him so they could talk about the closing ceremony planning. He noticed that after the phone call night, Alya had not given her usual Russian hints, so he asked why she seemed different. Alya was surprised he noticed, then directly asked why he did not invite her to his birthday. Masachika said he did not have any party and had not celebrated his birthday since elementary school. Alya said in Russia, if someone did not invite a friend to their birthday, it meant they did not consider them a friend. Masachika immediately understood that was why she was angry, so he suggested they celebrate his birthday together now, even if late, and invited her on a belated birthday outing at the end of the week. On the weekend, Alya came in a way that people kept looking at her on the street, and some strange boys even tried to talk to her, but Alya answered in Russian and sent them away at once. Masachika said he was glad she did not go with any stranger. Alya looked at him like he was showing jealousy. Masachika said he acted the same way on dates, and Alya quietly said in Russian that this was her first date. They reached a restaurant that Masachika had chosen carefully, but Alya said she had come here before with her family. After sitting, Masachika explained the whole closing ceremony process to Alya. He said candidates gave their reasons. Running mates explained why they stood with them, and the most important thing was the audience reaction. Students usually cheered loudly for the pair they wanted to win, while some pairs got silence. Masachika said they should not expect a reaction like Yuki's and needed to be realistic. He also explained that the first pair often got less reaction because the audience was still making up their minds. Alya was not happy with this expectation, but Masachika said it was the safe way unless she wanted to play a mind game against Yuki. After the food came, Masachika made a short toast for his birthday. During this, Alya asked if he was behind the Miyame story. Masachika said clearly that Miyame spread the story, but he asked her for help. He said this stopped the talk against Taniyama, even if it made the debate result a bit unclear. Alya thanked him for this, then offered him a bite with her fork. Masachika thought if he did the same back, she might back away, but Alya fed him again with the same fork without hesitation, and Masachika got nervous. After the meal, Alya gave him a birthday present, which was a beautiful mug. Masachika said it looked like a present that couples usually bought. Alya first said she bought one for herself, too, then laughed and called it a joke. Later in the student council office, Kenzaki suggested introducing summer uniforms and making a surprise announcement at the closing ceremony. Yuki thanked him, Kenzaki gave credit to Chisaki, and both got lost in their close atmosphere. Maria served tea, but Masachika felt she was still a bit different after the hypnosis incident, so he offered to help her clean up. While washing dishes, Masachika apologized for that event, but Maria said she started it, then asked what she did during hypnosis. Masachika tried to keep it light, but Maria directly asked if he saw her chest. Masachika admitted that could not be ignored. Maria grabbed his face hard and warned him. Then her mother called, and Masachika offered to finish the rest of the cleaning. When everyone else had left, Yuki complained that the siblings had not spent time together for a while because Masachika was mostly busy with Alia. She sat on the table and asked for his attention, and both talked while teasing each other as usual. After that, Masachika went to meet his grandfather. Masachika saw his grandfather waiting for the parent-teacher meeting. He was wearing a bright white suit, then put on glasses to look even more noticeable. While waiting, Alia arrived there with her mother. Masachika tried to keep his Russia-obsessed grandfather away from them, but his grandfather had already started talking to Alia's mother. Alia's mother smiled and said Alia had mentioned Masachika many times, which embarrassed him. Then suddenly his grandfather brought up marriage with Alia. Masachika quickly pulled him back to control him. After the meeting, he ran into his mother, and seeing her brought back old pain and memories. A few days later, Masachika woke up from a bad dream. In the dream, he saw memories from his childhood where he tried to impress his mother with his achievements, but instead of valuing him, she saw him as a burden and even made fun of his piano practice. After waking up, he felt sick and realized he had a cold. Later that day, Alia came to his house and said she brought medicine from Yuki. Masachika tried to send her back, but Ilya said Yuki had especially told her to take care of him until he got better. Masachika doubted this, and then Alia's Russian way of talking showed that she was not telling the full truth and had added some things herself. Inside the house, Alia looked at the state of his room and tried to hide her dislike. When Masachika asked what happened, she quickly changed the topic. Then she offered to make a dish for lunch that would help with a cold, but when she said it would take a lot of time, Masachika agreed to make simple porridge. Alia went to the kitchen and saw the mug she gave him as a present. Seeing this, she quietly felt happy that Masachika was using it. A little later, Alia brought the food. Masachika praised the food and also said she looked good in the apron. While eating, Alia asked him about his parents. Masachika said he lived with his father and now only had one parent in his life. Alia also made sure he had taken his medicine, then said she would sit outside and study while he slept. Later, when Masachika woke up again, he was surprised because Ayano was there with Alia, and Ayano was already taking care of him in full service mode. Ayano immediately came forward to help and offered more service, but Masachika quickly talked about keeping distance and made it clear he did not want that level of closeness. Alia tried to act unaffected and told Ayano to also keep some distance, but Ayano said it was her duty and Yuki had sent her. Alia saw that Ayano was ready for every kind of practical service, so she stepped back and said Ayano should take care of him now. After Alia left, Ayano also served the special dish Alia had made, and Masachika was surprised at the good taste. Then, Ayano gave him more medicine, and soon he started feeling sleepy again. Ayano even offered to help him bathe and started talking about taking off his clothes, but Masachika clearly refused and finally ordered her to go back to Yuki and end the day. The next morning, Masachika woke up and realized he had overslept again. Ayano was still there and said his health was more important than school. She quickly brought food and medicine again. This time, Masachika got suspicious and asked to see the medicine packet. Then he found out it was medicine that causes sleep. He asked Ayano why she did not tell him before. Ayano apologized and, as usual, talked about punishment. Masachika immediately understood this was all arranged by Yuki, realized he was being played, and quickly left for school. On the way, he heard students praising Yuki and immediately realized his absence had made things worse. When he reached class, Alia was sitting alone and looked defeated. Masachika asked what happened, and Alia said she wasted all his help. Then she told him about the previous day. Yuki told her Masachika was sick. Since Yuki said she was busy, Alia offered to help, and Yuki gave her the medicine and home address. After that, Yuki told Alia to talk about the recent student congress in the lunch broadcast. Alia did not want to talk about the debate again, but Yuki kept pushing and made it sound like a simple talk, so Alia agreed. Then Yuki started teasing her and said Alia was not ready to take advantage of the debate result, and in this way, she could not win the election. Alia realized Yuki was working on some plan, so she warned her not to think Alia was weak just because Masachika was absent. Yuki replied that if Alia wanted, she could go to Masachika, but Alia said she could handle the competition herself. Right before the broadcast, Yuki suddenly changed her attitude. She apologized, talked about friendship, and said she only wanted a serious competition. Alia accepted this. Then Yuki said she had to become president no matter what, because she had an older brother who was more talented than her. Her parents had higher hopes for him, but he suddenly left their lives, and now she had the responsibility to finish his incomplete path. Hearing this shook Alia mentally. When Yuki asked her why she herself wanted to become president, Alia stopped, and after the broadcast started, she could not answer properly. Masachika immediately understood that Yuki's aim was not to win the broadcast completely, but to shake Alia's balance before the closing ceremony so she would be under pressure early. Alia realized she had fallen into Yuki's setup and started blaming herself, but Masachika stopped her and told her not to fall into that trap again. Alia pulled herself together, but admitted that compared to Yuki's family goal, she did not have any big or high goal. Masachika told her to stop comparing herself and remember how hard she worked to get here. Alia teased him that he was saying things like a love confession, but his words had an effect and she got ready to fight again. Masachika decided he had to balance the story Yuki presented. But before that, Taniyama and Miyame came into the class. Taniyama apologized for her behavior, and Miyame also apologized with her. Alia accepted their apology. Then Taniyama asked why Alia did not mention her win in the broadcast. Alia said she could not be proud of a win that did not reach a clear end. Taniyama called this her kind of pride, and said she wanted to clear up the truth herself. Masachika stopped her and said he had a better way. After talking, Taniyama and Miyame agreed to help. Then Masachika said, now they had a real chance to beat Yuki. When Alia asked if they were still aiming for a tie, Masachika said since the first move came from the other side, now they would not stop at a tie but go for a clear win. That afternoon, Alia practiced her speech with Masachika. She repeated her speech again and again, but felt it was very weak and thought it did not have the impact needed for the closing ceremony. Masachika assured her she was ready for the event and her speech was basically fine, but Alia was not satisfied. She said that during the student congress, she managed her nerves by focusing on herself, but now the idea of speaking in front of a bigger crowd made her anxious. Masachika advised her to focus only on delivering her message, but Alia immediately said this time it would not be enough. Then she admitted she had watched his speech and felt lacking in herself because she could not understand how Masachika so easily got the crowd's attention. Masachika explained his answer was not some special skill but just his experience, then gave a practical way to catch the audience's attention from the start. Hearing this, Alia decided to try this method in her speech. A little later, Yuki and Ayano also arrived. Masachika looked at Yuki with annoyance, but Yuki acted like she knew nothing. She teased Alia and asked if she was disappointed in her. Alia gave her a sharp but controlled answer and said Yuki's actions gave her a chance to think about herself, and now she was clear about why she was running in the election. She also said she would reveal her real reason in the speech. After that, Masachika spoke directly to Yuki and called her method unserious and low quality. He made it clear he was not personally angry, but if Yuki crossed the line again, he would not go easy. The mood got tense, but at that moment, Kenzaki, Shizaki, and Maria also arrived, so the next day's preparations could be finished. A coin was tossed to decide the order of speeches, and after the result, Yuki chose to speak first because she believed she could establish her lead by going first. The next day, the speeches began. Yuki went on stage and spoke with great order and confidence. Her speech was strong on the surface, but most of the content was about common promises, like suggestion methods for collecting student opinions and general management topics. Even so, her personality and style affected the audience, and she got loud applause from the hall. After that, Ayano spoke, but her speech was very plain, formal, and lacked emotional ups and downs, which made it clear the next candidate would need to leave a strong impression. Backstage, Masachika encouraged Alia. When it was Alia's turn, she started in Russian. The audience was surprised and confused for a few moments because they did not understand what she was doing. Alia quickly apologized and said it happened because of nerves, but this unexpected start focused the whole hall's attention on her. Then she began her real speech in Japanese. She openly admitted she did not have as much experience as others, but she stressed her constant hard work, seriousness, and will to learn. She promised that if given the chance, she would bring herself up to the level the school expected from a leader. Her tone was honest, hardworking, and direct, and the audience slowly started listening to her with full attention. After Alia, Masachika went on stage. He started lightly by mentioning his position and past, which softened the mood in the hall. Then he went straight to the question on everyone's mind, why he chose Alia instead of staying with Yuki. He made it clear he did not separate because of any personal grudge, but because he saw a truth in Alia he wanted to support. He said Alia's speech was not perfect, but it was not fake, and that was its real strength. Then he made an unexpected announcement that if Alia became president, Taniyama and Miyama, who were her opponents before, would join her council. This announcement got an instant reaction in the hall, and loud voices and applause came from the crowd. Masachika gave the credit for this possibility to Alia and showed this change was possible because of Alia's attitude and and decisions. This made Alya's confidence even stronger. After the speeches, Taniyama came to Alya and said she would not help in the campaign anymore because now she felt both were equal. Alya accepted this, but also said she wanted to get Taniyama's real approval through her own performance in the future. On the other side, Yuki quietly thought about her situation. She realized her strategy did not give the result she wanted this time, and for now accepted her defeat. Later, Alya and Masachika looked at the exam results. Alya got first place, while Masachika missed his top 30 goal and got 33rd. Since Alya won the bet, Masachika joked that she should call him by his first name to show their closeness. When Alya actually did this, Masachika got embarrassed. On the way back, he asked in a shy way if they could keep meeting during the holidays to prepare for the election. Alya immediately agreed and made it clear she was now more determined to win than before.